Here your AI news the week of June 21st. If you're still watching model benchmarks to see who is winning the AI war, you are looking at the wrong scoreboard. So last week of June 21st, early summer, volatility hit a concrete wall of infrastructure, reality, resource limits, and aggressive government intervention. We're no longer just building smarter prompt boxes. The industry has officially moved past speculative hype into a phase of deep physical execution. First up, the platform wars have officially transitioned from algorithmic design straight to structural physics. OpenAI and Broadcom unveiled Jalapeño, a custom inference processor designed from a blank state. So to put it in perspective, the industry has spent years driving rented, gas-guzzling supercars just to pick up groceries. Jalapeño is, if we use a metaphor, it's a very efficient purpose-built delivery drone to get those groceries for you. By engineering its own silicon to execute inference at near theoretical hardware limits, OpenAI is trying to aggressively choke off open source margins by slashing its own token overhead. Meanwhile, Qualcomm landed a multi-generational deal with Meta for its 250-core Dragonfly server processor, proving that the tech giant are desperately trying to diversify away from NVIDIA's absolute hardware monopoly. But as fast as the hardware is scaling, geopolitical friction is moving even faster. OpenAI had to abruptly alter its deployment pipeline for the GPT-5.6 series following a direct intervention from federal commerce authorities, turning a widespread public rollout into a restricted government-vetted preview. Why this sudden panic in Washington? A Senate hearing leaked that Anthropic's highly restricted cybersecurity architecture Mythos successfully mapped and breached vulnerabilities across almost all classified NSA networks within hours during sandbox red team drills. It did not magically invent new security flaws, but it compressed the timeline to parse and weaponize a target codebase from weeks to minutes. So the immediate fallout, Anthropic only just received permission to restore highly restricted infrastructure access to Mythos 5 for a tiny cohort of 100 trusted domestic enterprises, while its public-facing Fable 5 model still remains entirely frozen. This is what happened to OpenAI as well. For founders, the takeaways are the era of immediate borderless API deployments for frontier systems is over. National security protocols are now a permanent gatekeeper in your deployment loop. And if your business is hard-coded to a single lab, your entire operational pipeline can be turned off overnight by a federal agency memo. The security Cold War is turning into an intellectual property battlefield too. Anthropic officially sent a formal brief to U.S. senators accusing Chinese giant Alibaba of waging a massive adversarial distillation attack against Claude. Alibaba's Qwen lab reportedly deployed 25,000 fraudulent accounts to run nearly 29 million high-velocity interactions, systematically siphoning Claude's premium modes in software engineering and agentic reasoning. It actually proves that when an adversary can clone your core IP via millions of automated queries for the price of a token bill, your product defensibility cannot rely on model intelligence alone. You must build hyper-specific workflow integrations that cannot be distilled away by a competitor. Yet while Western labs play narrative defense, Alibaba is aggressively executing on the global leaderboard. They officially launched Happy Horse 1.1, climbing to the number 2 spot globally in video generation. And this happens while OpenAI Sora quietly retreats from the market because it reportedly costs a staggering $1 million a day to operate while generating virtually no sustainable revenue. Video generation is a brutal, compute-guzzling environment, and pure play labs cannot absorb that capital burn under simple retail subscriptions. Alibaba is weaponizing its massive hyperscale cloud footprint, offer 40% launch discount, signaling that media generation value has officially shifted from Silicon Valley hype to subsidized infrastructure place. So on the enterprise side, Google shifted the baseline by embedding native cross-platform computer use directly into its high-speed Gemini 3.5 flash tier instead of paying premium prices for fragile third-party macro wrappers. Developers now have an economical, fast model that can visually interpret graphical interfaces and drive desktop. But as tech giants push automation, corporate compliance remains a fiction. Okta's new data revealed a massive shadow AI crisis. While 90% of executives believe they have full visibility into their corporate AI footprint, 2% of knowledge workers admit to routinely using unapproved personal AI tools because sanctioned company platforms are too low. Employees will literally smuggle AI into work and feed it sensitive data to hit their targets, meaning the winning B2B strategy isn't rigid top-down bends. It's actually removing friction. The fastest, most seamless tool always. Even if you build the fastest tool, do not assume users want the machine to make the final call. A comprehensive global study from HSBC revealed a definitive psychological boundary labeled the trust threshold. So the data verified that 73% of mass affluent investors leverage generative AI models to conduct asset research, making finance the single highest use case for the technology. However, only 12% permit those algorithmic outputs to actually execute the transaction. The overwhelming majority explicitly transition final capital choices to human wealth managers, citing the absolute necessity of human accountability and qualitative judgment. If your product roadmap relies on the total automation of high liability decisions, you are misreading human psychology. The value lies in data synthesis, but the human must retain the final veto. The ultimate word this week is that compute scarcity and resource limits are real physical constraints. So Google Cloud literally had to place strict capacity limits on Meta's usage of Gemini models because the grid simply could not supply the computing volume that Meta requested for its internal workflows. When a trillion-dollar giant gets throttled by its vendors, smaller B2B startups cannot afford to treat cloud APIs as an infinite utility. Long-term commercial defensibility requires abandoning total reliance on centralized APIs. The market is moving toward local, on-premises, agentic execution on private infrastructure, running on architectures like NVIDIA newly announced zero water consumption, warm liquid cooled AI factories. If your business workflows are not fully insulated from sudden capacity rationing, vendor talent drains, or federal mode revocations, your stock is vulnerable. So build for total model profitability, enforce strict token efficiency, and position your product capabilities as an accelerator, not a replacement of elite human judgment. And keep building.